back to my channel. So today we are going to be sharing Rowan's birth story. A lot of you guys have requested this. If you haven't seen the birth vlog, I'll link it up here. Would highly recommend watching that because A, it's my favorite video I've ever posted. And also you'll be able to kind of know what we're talking about as we're going through it. He's trying to decide if he wants to wake up or not.
He's trying to decide if he wants to go to sleep or not.
Yeah.
It's been like this all day.
Okay. So, I just fed you like 10 minutes ago. So, it was June 29th at like 9 o'clock that I went into labor. And we were playing Jackbox games with our friends over Zoom. And I, at first, like didn't think that I was in labor. I just felt a lot of like pelvic pressure. And I had been trying everything under the sun to try to induce labor naturally. So I thought like, there's no way this is actually it. It's like, it's too good. It's too good to be true. But I feel like it progressed really fast.
Yeah, and it was weird because like for 3 weeks, pretty much we'd been on alert for just like, for anything abnormal that she felt or anything was just like, oh.
Is this it?
Oh,
is this it?
Oh. Like we've been holding our breath for 3 weeks and then, you know, we got to the due date and then we got past the due date and it was just kind of like, you know, how long is this going to go on? And then that morning we had scheduled the induction for later in the week and it was just like, man, well, I guess.
Yeah, this was Monday and we had scheduled an induction for Thursday because I was 4 days overdue. I was 5 days overdue when he was born. And
so for her to start feeling stuff consistently, like you were probably feeling stuff for a half an hour to an hour. Like it started, you were just like, ooh, yeah, that's like tight a little bit. And you're just like,
yeah, it started like 10
nothing.
Minutes apart.
Like we had just kind of eaten dinner and you're like, oh, I think I'm probably just digesting. But yeah, that was the other thing, it was so far apart. Like,
see, I feel like that was close together. Like they didn't start like half an hour apart or whatever. Yeah. It was 10 minutes, like right away.
So anyway.
So yeah, we went to the hospital. Eventually, obviously realized that it was labor. And went to the hospital and got checked into triage. And at triage, I was at 5 centimeters and 90% effaced. And I had been in labor for 3 hours at that point. So I was a little bit discouraged by that because I was like hoping I was at like a 6 and 100% effaced. Oh, it's okay.
And so they did, like they hooked up to the monitors and stuff in triage. And they checked her and everything. And do we think like your water leaked at that point?
Yeah, I think it leaked a little bit, but it didn't fully like break.
Yeah, she went to the bathroom. And when she came back, she was like, the gown is all wet. And she's like, I didn't like get it in the toilet or anything. Like, and so they gave her a new gown. And then within like 5 minutes, that one was wet too.
Yeah.
So, but it wasn't like a lot of wet. It was just like she had peed herself, which she didn't because she had just gone to the bathroom. At the OB, they had told us that they were giving people the option to test for COVID. And then when we got to triage, they're like, we're testing for COVID. Like it wasn't an option. And I'm kind of glad that they sprung it on you like that because then you weren't like dreading it.
Yeah,
like,
that's
if you
true.
were dreading it as part of the whole thing, it would have been a little bit.
It was not comfortable. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It just felt like when you are in the pool and you get like chlorinated water up your nose and it burns. Like that, but like 10 times worse. Is the best way I can describe it.
I can't really imagine that 10 times worse.
Yeah, it was not great.
I'm glad that I didn't have to do one.
Yeah, glad you didn't do, but you did have to wear a mask the whole time.
Yeah, which is fine. I could much rather do that. But obvious, I feel like it's obvious if you don't have it, then I don't have it.
Yeah.
Like if anyone was going to have it and bring it into the house, it would be me from work.
Yeah.
Going out and stuff, but.
Yeah.
Or the grocery store.
Yeah. So at that point at triage, we were admitted, or I was admitted, and they took us to our room. And the hospital that I delivered at, the room that you labor in and then the room that you stay in the whole time, it's like the same place. They don't move you to a recovery room, which is really nice.
It's really nice.
So at that point we settled in and Matt kind of set up the room.
Yeah, so one of the things before we had even gotten to triage, we were in the waiting room. Mm-hmm. Because we like buzzed the thing, because they keep everything locked up. We buzzed the thing like, hey, my wife's in labor. And we called ahead and told them. But as we were in the waiting room, she was on the floor on her ball, and this other doula, like just happened to be passing through the lobby. And, you know, saw her very obviously in labor. It was like, do you want me to apply counter pressure? And Megan was like, no, I'm good. Like she was she couldn't really talk 'cause she was having a contraction. And as she's on her back, I don't know if I've told you this, the doula like made eye contact with me and got down behind you and mimed it.
Really?
Yeah, she got down behind you and she was just like she was like right behind you too. Like your butt was here, her hand was like right here, but you had no idea because you were like she was just like right here, just like applied pressure or whatever. So that was like when I was like pinching you kind of from the sides, like that's what that was. And then Elle showed me like the other place, like on on your back.
The different positions were like different ones were good for it for sure. We had like string lights and little LED candles, and we brought our Bluetooth speakers, so we put on some music. And I was like, it was starting to get pretty intense at that point.
Yeah, because you were, what was it that you said? They were taking your vitals or something, and it's on the birth vlog. You were like, I've got about 2 minutes until the next one or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, they were like 2 to 3 minutes apart at that point.
And it's midnight, 1 in the morning, and then it was like that for 6 hours. You were every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
3 if you were lucky. Like you were out. You were just down.
Yeah, I think the crazy part for me was that I always thought that between contractions, like the pain totally went away, and that was not the case for me. Like sometimes it almost like rolled into another one where it would be a wave and it would crest and then it would start to come down and then it would just stay here, like kind of towards the top, and then do it again. So that got really, really exhausting after a while, but I don't know, the things that really helped me were position changes, because I did it unmedicated. That was like my primary pain management technique was position changes. So I was up on the bed, like on my knees, leaning over the cub chair. I was on the floor leaning on the exercise ball. I got in the bath at one point. I would lean over the counter. What other?
That's pretty much it. You were never like on your back.
No. I didn't even think to go
back in any way, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think to do that. It just didn't feel right. So much of it was just like, I'd never done it before, but it was whatever my body felt like was right. Oh, did you move the mic?
Oh, it just got moved when.
Shoot. Really sorry if the audio got crappy for a second there, but this is postpartum life. It's very imperfect.
It's very imperfect.
And then obviously the counter pressure that Matt was doing was the other like pain management thing. You should probably talk about that because you were wrecked.
It was never part of our plan or anything we practiced to do counter pressure. I don't know why it just never.
I think because we never went to like a birth class, we didn't really learn breathing techniques or like counter pressure or anything like that. I will say there's a YouTube channel from a doula named Bridget Taylor. I'll link it down below. And I watched one video of hers like a couple days before I went into labor, just kind of on a whim, like laying in bed at night. And the breathing techniques that she taught got me through labor. So definitely go and watch all her videos if you're also.
I'm glad I watched that too, because it just gave me an idea of what was going on and what you were doing, and like helps me to like continue to encourage you through that, like breathing, taking the energy and breathing it down and out like the birth canal, and like.
Yeah, the short breathing was not a thing for me. I tried it once or twice and it was just not for me.
You started to use it when your body was starting to push at like 6:30, but yeah, for the most part you did the J breathing and the
like the vocal
vocalization.
But yeah, so from when we got into our room at probably like 1 o'clock to like 6:30, Matt was just constant positive affirmations and constant counter pressure, and he was just shaking from the physical effort of it.
Because like I didn't like work out or we didn't practice, so all these muscles that I was using, she would be telling me harder, like push harder, and I'm like, I was using the heels of my palms and I was just pressing into like her lower back and like pushing up and in, because what it did was apply pressure to her hips, because her hips were trying to open up. And by applying that counter pressure to them, I think this is what Elle told me, it helps them flex and open up wider.
It opens up the front by pushing on the back, I think that's what she said.
So that progresses the labor faster. Like I don't weigh a lot, I don't work out, I haven't worked out in 3 months because the gym's been closed and all that stuff, but like, so I am pretty stagnant. I don't, I've got these little pool noodles for arms or whatever. And so I'm just like, every 2-3 minutes for 6 hours, I was pressing as hard as I can. And then like when she'd be on hands and knees on the floor on the ball, I was like taking my knees on each side of her and like squeezing together a little bit and like just shaking from the exertion. And I
felt so bad because I could feel you shaking, but
you needed it.
Yeah, I couldn't be like, it's okay, like you can stop, because it was just so, this is a very positive natural birth story. Like I don't want to, it wasn't terrible. It was a really cool thing. A lot of people have asked like why I chose to go natural, and honestly I just kind of saw it as a challenge. I just wanted to know if I could do it. I went in thinking like, okay, I'll do it until I can't, and then I'll get the epidural if I need it. Then I got to 7 or 8 centimeters, and I was like, well shoot, like I'm almost here, like I should just do it.
May as well. And I don't want to take away from like the physical thing that you went through either, but like it was like hour 4 or 5 or whatever, I was dreading every contraction. Because the breaks for you, like breaks, were like breaks for me too, where I was just like my lower back was the worst, like especially when you would be like standing up or whatever, and I would just be like braced, like one foot behind and just like pushing or whatever against you.
Yeah.
Like that was.
But it was hugely helpful. It really got me through labor. And then, we progressed so far, and I got to like 9.5 centimeters, and my body started pushing. Like that's the only way I can describe it, is like my body started pushing without me. Like I didn't have a choice during some of the contractions. And I was just, because they were like, you can't push yet, you're not there yet, you have another 0.5 centimeter or whatever. And I was just like yelling, like trying to keep myself from
those.
It was crazy. It was completely involuntary.
Those were hard.
How long do you think that went on for?
That started at least an hour. It was around 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it wasn't happening like every contraction, thankfully.
No.
But she'd be going, like I'd gotten used to at that point what her contractions were like. She was just like, she was really good and really vocal about here it comes, pressure, push, or whatever.
Yeah, what were my words? It was like, here we go. Pressure, help,
push please,
blanket.
Yeah. Oh, blanket, yeah, because she was cold, she was shivering.
I would get freezing cold, and then a contraction would happen, and I would be sweating, and then it would be over, and I would be freezing cold again. It was the weirdest thing. I had no idea that would happen.
So we had a blanket, and I was throwing it on her, and then she would say help. That was the worst. She would just be like, help. I was like, oh my god, oh my baby. And I'd take the blanket off, throw the blanket off, and I would apply the counter pressure, and then she would go, oh, okay. Like, it was a very physical cue, and I'd throw the blanket back on and wrap her up, and then like just waiting for the next one.
It was crazy.
But the hardest thing, so I was used to what your contractions sounded like, and then I could see it as I was behind you. I could see your whole body just tense. Your entire abdominal core would just hurt when you would push, and then you would vocalize at the same time and just be like, I don't know, just like, oh my god. And I was just like, oh god, like screaming myself too, but it was because I could just tell that you were so uncomfortable and in so much pain, and just like hearing your wife cry out in pain is a very emotionally damaging experience. That was definitely the hardest part. I feel like after that, when I basically at some point was like, I need to push, like this is happening now. And luckily all of our nurses were so great, and they were so great at like listening to me, and I felt so like respected. And so I had totally planned on not pushing like on my back with my feet in the stirrups. I was gonna do like all fours or on my side or whatever, but the moment came, and even though I know it's harder to push on your back because the baby has to like kind of come uphill a little bit, that's just like what my body needed and what felt right. And so I was like, I'm getting on the bed, like pull up the stirrups, like this is happening. And at that point they were like, okay, you can push. And they checked me again. They were like, okay, yeah, you're ready. And I was like, yeah, I freaking know. So then I started pushing, and I feel like as soon as I started pushing, it was very intense, but it wasn't really painful anymore. It was such a release, and I was so focused that it was like, it was just, that's all I can say is it was such a relief from the contractions, because the contractions were still happening, but I was doing something about it, and I don't know, it just got really intense, but not as painful. And I
I pushed him out fast. I mean, I'd been pushing for like 10 minutes, and one of the nurses looked at me, and it's in the birth video. You can hear it. She goes, "Oh yeah, you're not gonna push for long."
Not to get too graphic here, but just like watching things progress down there as you were pushing, I was just...
Sorry, the card was full.
Yeah. So what I was saying was watching things progress as you were pushing was just like amazing. Just the changes, the physical changes that were happening. Like, you did such a good job.
Which is crazy because I don't have like really any frame of reference for like what it looked like or what was happening. I asked them to bring the mirror in, and they did, and I could kind of see, but I have really bad eyesight, and I wasn't wearing contacts or glasses, so I wish that I had been, because I remember like at one point you guys were like, "Oh, he has so much hair," and I was like, "What?" And you were like, "Reach down, you can feel his head," and I was like, so I wish I had been able to see that a little bit, but yeah, the pushing process was so quick. After the nurse was like, "Yeah, you're not going to push for long," they brought the stuff in and they called the doctor in, and I think I pushed for 20-25 minutes total, including the practice pushes, and yeah, he was here. It was crazy because like it was like one push, his head came out, and I could feel like the ring of fire, they call it, which actually wasn't that bad. And then it was another push to get his body out, which was so weird. And then it was really sweet because you just like lost it.
Oh yeah, I knew I'd known for months that as soon as like he was born, I was just gonna.
And I was just in disbelief. I couldn't believe that he was here. I couldn't believe that I had done it. I couldn't believe that I had done it unmedicated. And they put him on my chest, and I just looked at you like, "What just happened?"
Yeah. I have that on camera too. We were just like, "Babe, ah!" What did it feel like as he came out completely?
I could feel the ring of fire when his head came out, and that was the hardest part. And then his body coming out was like, I don't know, it felt exactly like you would think it would feel like. It was just everything all at once, but then I could feel like all of like his little shoulders and his little just kind of like all
just like, yeah, big small.
Is the best way I can describe it.
So what did it feel like afterwards? Like you had just pushed him out. Like were you just completely caught up in the moment?
Yeah, I don't remember them sewing me up. I remember like birthing the placenta.
You do remember that?
Yeah.
Dude, that was gnarly.
That was a weird feeling.
I was not prepared for that. And
that
like,
was a weird feeling.
I'm not squeamish or anything, thankfully, but I was just like, that was inside of you.
It was an organ. It's just an organ came out.
It was.
And they showed it to me. I told them I wanted to see it, so they showed it to me.
It wasn't like gross or disgusting, but it was disgusting. Like it looked.
It was graphic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I had him, and I wasn't really aware of what was going on down there as much because I was so just like, oh my gosh, this is my baby. And they gave us a lot of time with him. Matt cut the cord, which was cool. And they gave us, we had over an hour with him before they took him to weigh him and stuff. Like, they toweled him off. They didn't give him a bath. They washed his hair after like an hour, but they didn't give him a bath. They just kind of let the vernix, like, they rubbed it into his skin because it's like antimicrobial. And then they weighed him, but yeah, we had so much time with him before that.
I don't remember it.
You don't remember?
Like,
I remember breastfeeding for the first time.
Did I sleep at that point? Did I sleep between holding him and I slept after that?
Well, you didn't hold him until after they weighed him and everything. You didn't hold him for a while. Like, I had him for like an hour, and then they took him away, and not away, in the room still, and they weighed him, and I think they pricked his heel at that point, and did all that stuff.
What was I doing for that hour? Was I just like next to you? I must have just been. Yeah. I was so tired. It was It was the exact timing that I didn't want. Remember when I was like, I hope it happens in the morning, not like in the evening or something, because then we lose that whole night. And then that happened.
Yeah, we did. I labored all night. And then, he was there, and then the labor experience didn't stop there for me, because unfortunately the way that they sewed me up was wrong. And so I didn't tear on my perineum, I tore on the sides. So I had 2 first-degree tears, one on each side. And the sutures on the stitches on both of those failed. And so they were like, "You're losing a lot of blood still. We're kind of concerned about that. We need to, go in and see."
Do you remember how much blood you lost?
It was like 3.5 cups or something.
3 cups, yeah.
3.5, yeah. It was
like 24 ounces.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of blood. They were like, "That's concerning. So they had to check to make sure that I didn't have like retained placenta. That exam was not fun. That hurt a lot, and I wasn't hyped up on adrenaline like birthing.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably worse than.
They were like milking her tummy out to like with their hands and fists, and they were just like mashing it like you were squeezing a tube of toothpaste.
Like not the normal where they come and press on your stomach, because they did that a bunch of times afterward and that was fine. But it was that, and they were also doing an internal exam at the same time, and they had the ultrasound and everything, and that was what hurt because it felt like it triggered another massive contraction, and I wasn't like ready for it. So that was not fun. And then they had to sew me up again. This was like probably 3 or 4 hours after he was born. So that was the only part of our birth experience that like wasn't great. Everything else I feel like went so well. I think doing unmedicated in a hospital setting was so great. It was right for us. I went in super open-minded about what was going to happen, and that's just kind of the path that we took, and it was so good, and all of our nurses were amazing, and Matt was amazing, and I think the room being set up the way that it was, like the ambiance of it really helped and made it feel more special too.
Them lo-fi beats. I don't even really remember them. I know they were there.
And like the dim lights and the string lights and the candles and all of that was just really nice and really special.
The string lights were really nice.
Yeah.
The candles were a great investment.
So yeah, I think that's all she wrote. That's Rowan's birth story. It's crazy. I did journal like on my phone, just in my notes app, like right after. And then like through our stay at the hospital in the first couple of days postpartum, and I'm so glad that I did, so that I can look back and remember all of the little details.
And we've got a little bit of vlogging from the hospital room that next day.
Yeah.
The weird part for me was it was like noon, and he was born, and you'd been sewn up and everything, and then we were just there for another 30 hours.
Yeah.
They were just like, yeah, we'll discharge you guys tomorrow night. And it was just like, oh.
I didn't feel like it was long enough.
Yeah, she did not feel like we should be leaving.
I didn't feel, especially because of the repair that they had to do, I didn't feel physically ready to leave, which was really hard, especially the first couple of days home. Was just really hard recovery-wise, but
you did great.
Oh, good now.
You did great.
Thank you.
You're a champ. You were so well prepared. Have you gone over all like those products in a different video and stuff?
Yeah, I have a whole video on like my postpartum.
The sprays and the pads and the meds. Oh, dude, you were on like 1,200 milligrams of painkillers after.
Yeah, for a couple of days.
She was taking.
I tried to cut that out as quick as I could because I was like, I don't like being on that much medication. It makes me nervous.
It's so funny because they would bring, because it's a hospital, so they track all the medication and everything, and they would bring it to her in a little plastic cup, and they had to scan her wristband to register before they would give it to her. And I was just like, can I have some Advil? I never actually asked. I was like, I don't think they would give me anything.
We should have either had you go down to the pharmacy or should have brought some with us.
Yeah. We weren't thinking very clearly at that point.
So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope if you are thinking about doing a natural hospital birth or any kind of birth at all, I hope this was helpful for you. It was hard. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life and the hardest thing I can ever imagine doing in my life, but it was so worth it, and it was such a positive experience overall, and I was so proud of myself and proud of my body, and
you did amazing.
It was really cool. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a really good day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye. Rowan says bye too.